Finally, I have the time to sit down and do this really highly requested video. All you need to know about getting a driving license in Singapore. When you think of getting a driving license, you'll be feeling very sian because it's a very long, tedious process and you don't even know where to start. That's the thing. Today, I'm making this video so that all of you out there who are trying to get a driving license won't be a lost sheep like me. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So first and foremost, you have to decide private instructors or you want to go through school. There are pros and cons to each. If you're in a rush to get your driving license, I think taking private would be better because you don't have to go through the whole school syllabus. Private instructors, they would drive the car to your block and then they will drive around your neighborhood. It saves you a lot of time, probably also money if their rates are lower than the school instructors. You don't need as much lessons as you do in school because they just go straight to the point to what you have to learn. You get the same instructor for every lesson, so you get used to their driving style. The cons to private instructors, it's difficult to find good private instructors. I have had friends that took private lessons and got a really bad instructor, kept shouting at her, really rude, and she just decided to change to school instead. Passing rate is not said to be as high. That's what I heard lah. Private students doesn't have as much practice in a circuit as compared to school students. You have to book the circuit and these are additional costs. So I'm not sure how much it adds up to that. As I asked around, I do have a few contacts, but do note that my peers took their license 7 to 8 years ago. These instructors, some of them are quite old. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but you can try your luck. Personally, I took school. If you're not in a rush to get your driving license, I would recommend school. I think when you learn something, it's always good to follow through the standard protocol lah. That's for me. Good thing about school is you get lots of practice in the circuit. You're actually practicing on the test routes almost every lesson. That's why the passing rate is very high because you're very familiar with the circuit, you're very familiar with the test route. So they actually follow through a very structured lesson plan. But I would prefer learning driving that way. The bad thing about school is that you get a different instructor every lesson. The biggest con of learning driving at a driving school is the fucking long waiting time. You need to actively go log in to the portal to book your slots, and the next thing is to decide whether you want to take auto or manual. I chose auto because it's easier and most of the cars these days are auto. Manual is a bit more difficult because of the gear shifting. If you're a guy and you're gonna enlist in army, manual cars are more applicable for guys who need to drive tanks or vehicles in the army. And if you learn the more difficult one, you can definitely drive auto cars. So it's up to you. Once you have decided, you have to register at the school. So for students who want to take driving lessons at the school, you don't have to make an appointment. But if you are a private student, you have to book an appointment. On the day where you want to register, it's best for you to dress up a bit because there will be a photo taking session. Do not wear green because it's green screen. That's common sense, right? Just bring down necessary documents and the process is pretty fast. Once you are done, you have to log into your portal. You can start by pumping in around 2k. I spent about 2.3k to 2.4k. So just pump in 2k. If you need, you can always top up later. I would also actually suggest, although now, right, you can't actually take practical lessons yet, but I would highly advise you to start block booking 17 slots. That's the maximum slot that you can book at one go. No matter the date lah, because it will be at least 1 to 2 months later. It doesn't have to be the exact date that you need, but you can always cancel that slot and book a new slot anytime. Oh yeah, and for the slots, right, there are peak slots and there are off-peak slots. The off-peak slots is 1, 4 and 6. It's best to block during these sessions because it's cheaper. It might not seem like a very big difference, but if you have to do 20 lessons, it's gonna amount to around 100 or 200. So I think off-peak slots are still more worth it. I wouldn't actually recommend you booking night slots because likely you're gonna take your driving test in the day and not at night, and visibility is not so good at night. So actually I just prefer to take my driving lessons in the afternoon. First thing to get out of the way is your basic theory test, because only after you pass your basic theory test, then you can actually sign up for the EPDL that allows you to drive temporarily on the road for a year. So you have to get it out of the way first, which means you have to attend 4 theory lessons. Basic theory practice is where you can book multiple practice sessions where you can get familiar with the questions and to memorize the correct answers. And then after that, you have to go for this thing called basic theory evaluation. And you have to pass this evaluation before you can officially book the theory test. There's also a final theory test. That one you can do it later because it's not as important compared to basic theory test, because something you need to kickstart your driving lessons. So for theory lessons and theory tests, you have to go through these processes. To actually help save your time and cost, I actually have a cheat sheet that my friend actually sent to me, and I can guarantee you that this cheat sheet enable you to have a 80% chance of passing. If you want this cheat sheet too, you can leave your email down at the comments section and I will send it to you. But with that being said, the cheat sheet it only accounts for 80% of success. You require at least 90 or 95%. And I think the school actually did add on some new questions that are not in the cheat sheet. Based on my memory, I'm gonna give you some new questions that I remember from my practice sessions and that can help increase your success rate of passing from 80 to 90%. So, who is allowed to give breath tests? Police. What will happen if you refuse? You'll get arrested. How the question is phrased, I really don't remember, okay? But the gist of it is, these are the weather conditions where you have to apply the 4-second rule. Okay? Wet or adverse weather condition, when you're being tailgated, or if you feel tired or sleepy, 4-second rule. In what circumstances you have to apply the 12-second rule? When you're looking out for hazards, when you're looking out for a safe overtaking distance. So there'll be some questions on the anti-lock braking system, and this is what it does. It is used when brakes are applied excessively, and it works best when brakes are about to lock, and it is not as effective in wet weather conditions. At which lane should the green car turn into? Lane X, Y, Z, then you choose lane X. Okay, for example. Which car should give way when overtaking? So the car that is going to overtake should give way to the car that is travelling towards them. Next question is about roundabouts. Cars inside the roundabout have the right of way to cars entering it. And they will ask questions like, you can see there's a car A and B. Which exit should car A take, or which exit should car B take? Okay, and you have to name the correct exit. All the answers are in this diagram, so you can just refer to it. So your car is going into a turn, and there will be a question on which path should the front wheels of the car take, or which path should the back wheels of the car take, and they will show you like different path lines. This is the correct answer. Next is reversing. Based on the car wheels, you have to decide which direction is this car gonna turn into. Okay, you can either see the front wheels or the rear wheels, so it's always the opposite direction of the front wheels. See, you can see that the front wheels that is pointing to the left actually is going towards the right. If the front wheel is pointing towards the right, it's going towards the left. That's how I memorize it lah. Calculating the shortest braking or stopping distance. I didn't catch the formula used to calculate this during the theory lesson, so I just memorized it lah, the correct answer. At 80 km per hour, it is 76 km per hour. At 50 km per hour, it is 32 km per hour. There's also a question that is phrased, how far must you keep away from the car in front of you at this particular speed? And the answer is like 1 car length for every 16 km per hour. Okay, next. What you should do when the car is on fire, okay? Get everyone out of the car, turn off ignition, to have a fire extinguisher in the car. It's going to be phrased in 3 different questions. For when a car is on fire, what's the first thing that you should do based on the choices, okay? Next. Basically, this is a question on the safe passing distance. The distance that you need to keep away from these objects. And last but not least, at night when the lighting is not good, you have to turn on your headlights. So the headlights visibility distance, okay, how much the headlight can see is 100 meters. 100 meters is the correct answer. I would advise you to study these as well. Go through the cheat sheet and then block book 2 practice sessions, then the evaluation right after, back to back, and I can guarantee you that you will pass it at one go, full marks. Okay, so that's all for theory. So after you passed your basic theory test, you can go ahead and sign up for your EPDL. Once your EPDL is approved, that's when you can officially start your driving lessons. Okay, so all the 17 slots that I asked you to block book previously, all these slots can be cancelled. If it's more than 48 hours, it will be automatically cancelled and the amount will refund to your account. There's this thing called try-sell slot. These are for people who maybe last minute found out that, oh, I can't make it for that driving lesson, I'm going to try to sell this slot. These try-sell slots are available last minute. The optimal time to buy these try-sell slots is 10 to 11 in the morning and 10 to 11 at night, according to my experience. Because for me, I logged in every single day, every single hour to check for any available try-sell slots. I only managed to book 2 lessons per week, but because I actively logged in every single day, I actually managed to get try-sell slots for almost every day. Let's say I book from 1st August to maybe 14 August. So once I log in and see there's a try-sell slot available, I will cancel my 14 August slot, the very last slot, and then I will book try-sell slot. Because you can only block book 17 slots at a time, so you have to kind of cancel your back slots to book for new slots. And that actually allowed me to go for driving lessons every day, because sometimes in their system they would have this prompt where you can't actually book lessons every day. But after every driving lessons you have, just refresh the page, book try-sell slots, that will actually enable you to book every day. It is possible to finish all your driving lessons in 2 weeks. I would actually advise you to really free up your schedule for just 2 weeks to commit to the driving lessons, because if you take like 1 lesson per week, it's going to take you forever and you're not going to remember what you learned the previous week or the previous 2 weeks. So I think it's best that you do your driving lessons every single day so that every lesson stays fresh in your mind. And that's how you can actually complete your driving lessons really fast. For me, I actually booked at least 2 slots a day or even up to 3. So there are days where I actually spend the whole day at BBDC, have my lunch, chill a bit before my next lesson. You can't book the slots back to back. I actually have like 3 hours until my next lesson, and in between that 3 hours, I can actually go for my final theory practice and final theory test. And that's how you can actually maximize your time at the school lah. So now let's talk about what do you need to do when you go for your driving lesson. So you have to download this BBDC app. And this BBDC app, 30 minutes before your lesson starts, you can actually log in that app and see which car number you are given to and which parking lot it's at. You also have to prepare your NRIC and EPDL. These are the 3 things that you need. So once you're at the school, let's say your class at 7:30. Once it's 7:30, all the students will go out and find their car. Just look at the alphabets and then you can find the car. Yep, that's how you do it. And then once you're in the car, the instructor will ask for your NRIC and your EPDL, and then you are good to go. One tip that I have is at their portal, right, you can actually download this school syllabus. So you can have a rough idea of what's going to happen during the class. If you are fast, sometimes they might even complete like 4 lessons in one go. Or if you are a slow learner, they will just adjust according to your pace. There are basically 5 stages. Stage 1 to 3 is the official lessons that you have to learn. Stage 4 and 5 is more of like a revision. Complete all the components in the circuit and also to run through the different test routes that might be possible in the driving test. And then stage 5 is actually the final evaluation. You really want to make sure that you've got what it takes before you actually go ahead and book the driving test, which is not cheap. But one very important thing to note is that at the end of every stage, there are some extra components that you might need to fulfill before you're able to go ahead and book the driving test. And one of it is driving simulator, which is the stupidest thing ever, because there's 2 types of driving simulator. Number 1 is the one with the school, and the other one that's a bit more troublesome is actually the one with the traffic police. And this driving simulator, you can start booking for it after your 3rd practical class, which you should. There are actually 3 modules to this. Once you have completed module 1, then you can book module 2, and once you have completed module 2, Then you can book module 3, and the waiting time between these 3 modules can go from as fast as 2 weeks and up to 2 months. It's crazy because can you just imagine like the school only have like 3 such simulator for like 100 over plus students, private and school students. If like you have to complete these 3 modules and you have to wait 2 months in between, you're gonna be 6 months delayed in getting your driving license. On top of that, right, you actually have to book extra lessons every week to get like a refresher for 6 months. That's gonna be like extra money wasted and time wasted, so you wouldn't want that. I was really lucky. I only got like 2 weeks wait because I literally logged in every fucking single day and every hour to see if there's anyone who cancelled their slot last minute. And at the end of stage 3, risk forecast training, which is just like an online training lah. Yeah, this is something very important you have to note because it's gonna hinder your driving license. Now that we have gotten past the nitty-gritty details, now is the fun parts where I share my experience of getting my driving license at BBDC. Actually, all the lessons are pretty okay. The hardest thing out of all the lessons is actually parking, and it's a huge component in your driving test. You can take a look at my notes. Yep, parking is a fucking chore. This is for parallel parking, and this is for vertical parking. I'm such a diligent student, but I think it's really necessary because there's so many steps you have to remember. You just can't like expect yourself to remember it after 1 or 2 lessons. So I think it's always good to make notes after your class. Before I go for my next lesson, I read through again to refresh my memory. My experience at BBDC was actually quite okay. Most of the instructors are generally quite patient lah, but I did have some instructors that are a bit more jibai one lah. Generally, I feel like there's like 3 types of instructors. Okay, from the worst to the best the worst kind of instructors are those that keep talking non-stop throughout the 1.5 hours. For example, you need to do a left turn or you need to change lane. The instructor at your ear will be like, okay, now you need to change lane. Check your blind spot, your mirror, signal. Okay, now go, got car, no car, go. Now, go in, faster, why are you so slow? They keep nyam at your ear, right? You're already super stressed, right? And then their nyam just makes it worse. And throughout the whole lesson, right, you'll be so stressed and overwhelmed that you cannot absorb anything that they want to teach you. The second type of instructor is those that is, they will teach you by the book. They will first show you the manual. Okay, today we need to learn this. Now let's start with the first one. They really go by the book. Very standard kind. The third kind of instructor is the best. It's the very chill kind. You really need this kind of instructor because you're already very stressed on the wheel. And this kind of instructor will make you feel at ease. It's so chill. They will just go straight to the point of what they think you need to correct or what you need to learn. In the beginning when I was driving, right, I had trouble stabilizing the car. Like my car is going like I just can't go straight. The instructor was like, okay, the lesson aside, let's just correct that first. And what you need to do to stop your car from moving so much is you need to find a very fast spot and focus on that spot. Relax, hands on the wheel, look straight, and then my car just go very smoothly. At the end of the lesson, right, you can actually feel yourself, you can remember everything that he teach you because he's giving you like bite-sized information each time and not like just bombard you with everything and you just learn nothing. That's just the best kind of instructor you can have. But like I said lah, cause you have different instructors every time, you just kind of pick and choose what works best for you. Of course, there's also an option to, let's say you meet a very good instructor and you want the same instructor for all your lessons. You can, you just need to pay extra. That's it. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the driving test. Oh my god, I was so fucking nervous. You book your driving test and then you go to this wall and you wait until this instructor calls up your number to go for a warm-up round and then the actual driving test where you go up to the level 2 and you sit there, wait until the traffic police, the actual tester, calls up your name, go for the test lah. On the driving test day itself, I think it helps to have a good impression. You dress up a bit, look presentable. Yeah, I think it's always a plus point lah. Maybe they'll go a bit lenient on you or easy on you when they see like, you know, you're more chill. I don't know. Most of them are guys anyway, so This is one tip that my girlfriend told me. I found it so funny. She asked me to dress up for my driving lessons and the driving test, and even though I did that, I still failed my driving test the first time, so I didn't pass it at one go. I was so nervous, like my heart was like beating so hard during the test, you know, and I just forgot to breathe and I died at the S course and crank course. I was so freaking nervous, I can't even like focus, and the moment my car hit the curb, instantly when he asked me to, okay, you step out of the car and see, then I knew, wow, shit, I'm gonna fail this test already. Because once you hit a curb, it's 10 points. And if you mount a curb, means if your wheel actually goes up the curb, fail, immediate failure. So I was like so fucking scared, I didn't want to mount the curb, right? And I go stand a bit, and I continue my S course. And then I proceeded to go to my crank course, which is one of the easiest component of the circuit. But I still hit the curb on my way out. The instructor opened the door. You see? Close the door, then okay, you know it's over. Because once you hit 20 points of demerit points, you fail the test. And if you fail at the circuit, you don't get to go out. And it's very pricey because the instructor will just say like, okay, you just go back to the parking lot, you find a parking space, and get out there. Everyone, literally everyone will know that you failed because you never even go out to the road. They will print out a sheet of your mistakes and why you fail, and they will just sit you down and tell you your mistakes. It was humiliating and I felt so bad, like disappointed at myself. But what I can say is you really have to keep a 平常心lah. You must be really calm. But I'm really so nervous the first time. If you're very nervous, you're bound to fail. Yeah. Once you fail, you go back to stage 4 and 5 again. They want to make sure that you pass the evaluation, then you go for a driving test. So second time, I went for my driving test. Luckily, I had a driving test available the next week. So I was lucky I didn't waste a lot of time lah. So during my second test, I think I was much more calm this time because you know what's the worst? Fail lor. I just completed all the circuit, and when he asked me to go out to the road, then you know that high chance you're gonna pass. And the road is much more ching song, I feel. And the circuit is like, you must really be very precise to how you turn, and circuit is very small, there are other cars, and when there are more cars in the circuit, more cars in the road, you will tend to feel more stressed. So one tip that my boss gave me was to book my driving test in the afternoon, 1 to 3 p.m. Best is 3 p.m. And my second driving test was around 3:30 to 4-ish. There was nobody on the road, and you know that you can easily pass that because there was no one on the road to stress you, especially when changing lanes. Example, if you had to U-turn and you can't change lane in time, you miss the turn, you're gonna fail. To reduce the chances of that happening, I think you should book a slot in like mid-afternoon where there's simply nobody to fight with you and you're gonna pass it really easily. I think that is very important, the timing where you book your driving test. After I passed, we went back to the warm-up room. All the instructors at the door will be like, congratulations, you passed, you passed. And I'm like, I passed. 10 points only. Right after I passed, I told my little brother, I think you should get your driving license now. I'm gonna teach you, you're gonna get it super fast. And he chose manual because he was gonna enlist in army. He passed both his BTT, FTT in one go and full marks like me. He also finished his lessons within 2 weeks as well. Best way to get your driving license within a very short period of time. I guess that marks the end of everything I want to share about getting a driving license in Singapore. You can do it. I have faith in you. Yeah, just have fun. Learning new things is always fun, although the process is a bit tedious, but it's a skill that you can get to keep for the rest of your life, and do it while your parents want to sponsor you, okay? So yeah, that marks the end of this video. Pretty lengthy, but it's really all you need to know. If you watch through the whole video, you can really save a lot of time and money. Hope you like this video, and please like, subscribe and share to your friends who's gonna take their driving license or is taking their driving license. I think this will be very helpful to you, so you don't be lost shit like me. I learned it the hard way, so please learn from my mistakes, and yeah, till the next video, bye!